Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those within the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. Hey, I've got a question for you. Do you know the two elements that con artists thrive on? If you said fear and uncertainty, you are correct. So naturally, this pandemic crisis creates the perfect climate for bad actors to try to take advantage of consumers just like you and me. Our news team has even reported on some of the scams, from fake websites that promise to expedite payment of your unemployment benefits to price gouging on everything from hand sanitizer to face masks. Today, we're talking to the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Southeast Michigan. She has some tips to share with us on what we can do to keep ourselves safe from the bad actors. Well, Melanie, I want to thank you for spending time with us today. We have a lot to get to, and certainly with your background and your expertise. Tell us a little bit about you so that our viewers can know more about you and all the expertise that you do bring to this position here.
So 10 years ago, on April Fool's Day, I started as the CEO of the Better Business Bureau after serving as a 20-year recovering banker. I used to rent money for a living to all sizes of businesses, and had a great time doing it, but it was also the economic downturn. So stepping away from that and championing a nonprofit that was looking at making sure that the marketplace was trustworthy, that businesses say they're going to do this and actually do it, and customers actually commit and are accountable, such as paying the bill when the service or the product shows up at the door. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that everybody's word is true. And when you look at it from that perspective, that you're going to follow through on your commitments, that you're going to show up when you say you are, that creates a marketplace that we all can trust each other in. And when we do that, we all raise each other's boats and we all get better and safer and more profitable.
And I like, Melanie, that you use the term champion. So in effect, you serve as a champion for the consumer as well as the business supplier.
Correct. We actually try to act as neutral as possible in any kind of transaction. But we get involved in any kind of dispute when there is truly a transaction. If a business came out to do a quote for you, but you never chose it, that would be something that we don't get involved in because there was no service or product provided. But if in fact you do sign on the dotted line, have them do buy a car, get a mortgage, and for whatever reason the service isn't to the specifications of, that's when BBB kind of gets involved. Usually the consumer's contacting us first, and we work with the business to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward, and also recognizing that sometimes consumers, in bless their heart kind of thinking, sometimes they're a little crazy, or their expectations are far greater than really what they've signed on to be. So we really try to navigate the straight and narrow and make sure everybody understands what the rules of engagement are. And from that perspective, we hope that we make our marketplace a lot better.
Can you give us a little bit of history about the BBB? Can we find an office in every city, county? How do our consumers get engaged with your agency?
So the Better Business Bureau for the state of Michigan is divided into two offices, one here in Southfield, Michigan, the other one is in Grand Rapids. However, my office started in 1917, and originally we covered all of the Lower Peninsula, or the Mitten, and all of the Upper Peninsula. In 1938, we gave half the territory to our Grand Rapids affiliate, and they cover up to Traverse City. But if you think about 127, that's our dividing line. If you take that highway and kind of divide the Mitten in half, that's Grand Rapids to the west and us to the east. And then we also take all of the Upper Peninsula.
Very good to know. So lots of heavy lifting for the agency.
Lots of driving, lots of phone calls. And to get a hold of any BBB, the best way for those that have internet bbb.org. You can type in your zip code and you can find the office that's closest to you or who is responsible to you. And we're open 5 days a week. We have an 800 number. We have an online complaint portal. We have situations where if a business wants to become accredited, that's how we actually make money, is through our businesses supporting us through accreditation fees. And accreditation is an opportunity for a business to be vetted. We look at everything about the customer's experience with that business. What's BBB's experience been like? What's the Attorney General's experience been like? And then we look at other things, how long they've been in business, what kind of products are they doing? I'll give you an example of something we do not partner with, and that is debt consolidation companies, because we find that the industry, though there are really good actors in it, we've here in Michigan have had some really bad actors, so we really just try to stay away from it completely.
Let's move into, obviously, I'm sure what everyone wants to know about is some of the scams that come in, and as we were talking off cam, is that you've seen the gamut of some of everything, and this climate, unfortunately, presents itself at providing opportunities for bad actors to really take advantage of unsuspecting consumers. So I see that there are a couple of top things that have hit your radar screen. Can you just take us through some of those?
Sure. So the one that's fun to talk about, but it's sad because it steals money from people, are puppy scams. Because we're all staying home for the most part, trying to avoid the COVID-19, people are going, but I'm lonely. I don't like being in my apartment or my home by myself. I want to have a companion. So people go online looking for puppies. The difficulty is that buying a puppy by a photograph on the internet is the worst thing you can possibly do. You cannot gauge the puppy's temperament. You can't make sure that they're healthy. You know, all the things that a live animal you need to see is not available on the internet. And they've gotten even worse in the sense that, here, I'll Zoom you or I'll online, FaceTime you a dog, and the dog never gets there. So the dog gets shipped. Then the dog gets stuck at the cargo place at the airport, and now you have to pay more money. So not only are you paying a reduced price for this animal, supposedly, then you have to get it out of what I consider a quarantine or a cargo area. The difficulty that we're finding, though, is that the dog never even makes it on the plane, yet alone get to the cargo section, yet alone get to you. So the average person is losing upwards of $2,000 in total per animal. So stay away from that, please. Just please go find the breeder of the type of dog you want. Go visit them. Get references from the breeder, who else has adopted a dog from them, and then have them go to the vet almost immediately, because you want to make sure that the pet is healthy. And then the breeder will say, well, go to my vet. I would highly recommend that you go to your own vet.
That's very good to know. And we've actually, I believe, reported on that particular scam here at WBKB. So, Melanie, we will take a quick break. We will be back to talk about even more scams that have come through your office.
Insights will return after these messages.
Well, welcome back to Insights. We're continuing our conversation with the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Eastern Michigan. And we're so glad to have you with us today, Melanie. As the break, you were talking about the puppy scam, but there are many others that are related to this COVID-19 crisis that we find ourselves in. What else is coming through your office?
Probably the most pervasive and the one that strikes fear in all of our hearts is the COVID scams. You can go online and you can find test kits. You can find prevention options. You can, look at anything from a prevention situation, from a home filtration, water filtration. They're trying to sell you everything that's going to keep the virus away from you. Looking at masks,
Right.
you know, that was one at the beginning of this pandemic, that people were ordering masks and thinking that they were going to get 50 masks and they would get 10. That was one. The other one is all these cure-alls or prevention measures that just are not substantiated. And it's predicated on this thought, this conspiracy theory that the government is keeping the cure-all away from everybody. Sincerely, if that were the case, we would be in a lot worse shape. The fact of the matter is that the government's holding nothing back. In fact, I've never seen the government and our pharmaceutical organizations work as hard and as diligent and as quickly in my lifetime.
There's been a lot of price gouging from hand sanitizer to masks that have been just priced out of the ballpark.
Right, and in regards to price gouging, we have partnered with the Michigan Attorney General's office, and in doing so, we found initially that hand sanitizer, toilet paper, masks, paper towels, all those kind of things that you want to keep your place of work or your place at home clean and neat, people were double costing it, you know, so instead of $2 for a roll of toilet paper, it was now $4. If you have to buy toilet paper that expensive, come see me. I've got some hiding in my office. But in all sincerity, I do. But because I had team members that were having difficulty finding product. But now the supply is kind of caught back up. So we're not seeing as much price gouging as much as we are seeing price gouging online. So how do you avoid that? You avoid that by doing a little bit of homework ahead of time. What is the price at Meijer? What's the price at Target? What's the price at Dollar General for the products that you're looking for? And if they seem out of control, you give us a call. We actually also have a Facebook page. And between ourselves and the Attorney General's office, we can help you navigate through that process to get your money back. But Menards at the beginning of this pandemic was probably the first one to really get at us. And it took not just the Michigan Attorney General's office, but also the Attorney Generals of about 7 other states to get them to stop doing what they were doing. And again, they were looking at the fact that their supply had gone down. And they had to try to spread it out as long as possible. And a way that you do that is you increase the price. So they thought they were doing the right thing. The difficulty is it came off as something completely different.
And so there are some other, obviously other scams that may not be so much related to COVID, but they're still out there. So for example, one of the latest ones that I know we reported on was with the Cash App. So tell us about that one.
So Cash App really came to the forefront because a lot of people were using Cash App to handle their unemployment benefits. So instead of having a check deposited into a traditional bank account, people were using Cash App, so it was a lot more mobile and helpful for them to get their bills paid. The difficulty is that Cash App at that very moment wasn't prepared to have that much demand on their services. So as people were getting $600 to $800 checks, Cash App was holding back about 80% of the check until they could verify that that check had cleared from the state. And again, because of the overabundance of people that were on unemployment, they were really challenged because the states were moving a little bit slowly too. But fast forward. Cash App right now is being used for rent payments and the like. So when you're looking at what we call a peer-to-peer payment platform, lots of P's, you want to make sure where the money is coming from and where it is going to. Because we had somebody actually think that they were paying their landlord and they got a couple of characters wrong in the recipient's information, and it ended up going somewhere completely different, and the money was gone because Cash App does not confirm or prevent money being transferred inappropriately.
Wow. So although convenient, but still you really have to pay attention to how you're using it and where you're sending those funds.
Exactly. And what you want to make sure is that you've got exactly the recipient's perfect address, or whatever their call name is, before you hit send. And we all get fast and furious on our keyboards, and just one character can really mess you up.
Wow, that's good to know. Well, Melanie, we have one more break coming up. When we come back, we want to talk about some of the things that our senior population should look out for. Some may not always be on the internet and the mobile apps that we use. So I want to talk about some of the things that are very helpful for them in their day-to-day to keep them safe from these bad actors.
Absolutely.
Insights will return after these messages.
Well, welcome back to Insights, and thank you again, Melanie, for spending this time with us today. And at the break, we were talking about what are some of the things that our more senior population should look out for? What are the things that they should consider before they engage in any type of business transaction? I know we hear that moniker. If it sounds too good to be true, there's probably something wrong with it. I think that still holds true. But for example, so lawn care companies or people trying to do some type of work in your home, what should they be looking out for?
One of the things you want to look at is how long have they been in business. If they've been in business for a short time, that's not necessarily a precursor that they're going to be bad, but they may not have the experience or the staff that's going to do the service appropriately for you. So, and the other thing that you always want to get with any lawn care or home remodeling or anything of that sort is you want to get a contract, because you want to know if they don't show up when they say they're going to show up, what's your recourse? And, as much as this four-letter word will kind of throw a chill through everybody, snow removal's coming up, and the snow removal guys are going to be starting to solicit for work. So as we're looking at those kind of opportunities, how much snow has to fall before they come out? What are they going to do? They're going to do the walkway or just your driveway? Are they going to do your porch? Are they going to do your back deck? How do you get in and out of your house? But now that we're in summer, we also have pool services. How many times are they supposed to show up? When they don't show up, what's your recourse? Are they going to not send you a bill? The one other thing that please never ever do is pay in full up front. Always pay by the service and let them bill you. I'll give you an example. True Green is an accredited business nationally for us, and they bill me for every treatment they do. It's a pain for them. They would love if I would prepay all up front. The difficulty is that once the money's gone, it's gone. But if you pay by the service, if they don't show up for whatever the reason is, you don't have to pay. You're not out that money. So know that in advance. And if for whatever reason that contractor is saying, no, I must get it all in up front, huge red flag, find another service. In fact, in all sincerity, interview 3 to 5 services if you have the time, but at minimum 2, just to make sure that both of them are doing the same level of work with the same type of product and the same frequency. So you have to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
That is excellent to know. Pay by the service. Well, hopefully when we get back to normal and we're doing a lot more traveling that we typically do during the summer months, and I know that your website even has some information about travel insurance, and I believe sometimes there's a misunderstanding about what actually is covered in travel insurance. Can you help us understand that?
Sure. Travel insurance is for the absolute worst case scenario. You've been hospitalized. Somebody has died that's in your immediate family. Something catastrophic has really, truly happened. There are some insurance policies, though, that can also cover if you didn't get your connecting flight because the airline had a problem with your original plane. You really have to read the fine print. And if you're planning on traveling out of the country, there's a whole nother level of travel insurance available. Not very expensive, but it may be worth the investment, especially right now because of countries opening and closing depending upon what's going on with the virus.
So what I've been reading is that, yeah, we definitely need to read the fine print on the travel insurance because it may not have, I guess, considered the fact that we would be in a pandemic. So in that particular case, there's really nothing that's covered, even though you perhaps have paid for that insurance.
Correct. And what has been really upstanding is that our airline industry has recognized that most travel insurance policies did not cover the pandemic situation. So they are allowing you to extend what you paid for a flight, let's say in August, to be used hopefully within the next year. Mm-hmm. So get a hold of your airline carrier, find out what their set-asides are for that. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. I was supposed to go see my mom and dad who live in Nevada, and I called Delta and said, okay, I can't go. What's my recourse? And they said, you get 1 year from the original date of the flight, and if it looks like we're not going to open in a year, give us a call. We'll see what else we can do. Well,
Melanie, what is, in your opinion or in your guidance, what is the first thing that people should do? Say you wrongly put in your information, or you put your information in a website on the internet, or somebody calls you and you give up your personal information. You think about it and you're like, wait a minute, that probably wasn't a wise thing to do. What do you recommend as the first step that people do to try to, I guess, help make themselves whole again if they think they're going to be a scam?
If you gave your credit card information or bank account information, your first call is to the bank. And most banks these days have a 24-hour customer service line. By all means, have them put an alert on your account, so if anything should go through that ends up being fraudulent, they have recourse to reverse those charges. And I'm not kidding, when it comes to credit cards, do it all day long, because if nothing else, they have the team that's there to take your call. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I would do right after that call is to get a hold of all three of your credit reporting agencies and put a fraud alert on those. And you can also, and actually as a normal course of business, if you are not going to be borrowing any money in the near future, say the next 6 months, I would actually put a credit lock on your credit report. So if somebody tries to pull credit and actually get a loan against your good name, they're unable to, and the credit service will actually call you and say, so-and-so is trying to pull credit on you. Do you want to buy a car, or do you want to buy a boat, or whatever the situation is? But when you go to buy that car or get a new mortgage, you call the credit reporting agency and say, I would like to take it off for a one-time event. Okay. Here's the creditor. They're going to, go and research my credit report, and then they will lock it down. It's usually 48 hours. Okay. And that way you're in total control. You're in the driver's seat, and make sure that your credit report is safe and secure.
That is excellent information to know. And before we let you go today, is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers? Anything else that we need to be aware of as we continue to maneuver the COVID-19 waters?
We are always available. We really are. So if you have any questions, our website is on, of course, 24/7. Our phones are open from 8 to 4. And we have people that have navigated through all kinds of things. So your questions are never stupid. We're always here to help you navigate. And if we don't have the answer immediately, we know where to go. So do not hesitate. And if you know, speaking of seniors, of somebody that's hiding from a family member because they may have done something a little stupid, reach out to them and tell them they're not stupid. We all make mistakes. We don't do this in a vacuum. And hackers go after our emotions. They get us afraid for whatever the reason is. Should it be IRS taxes or grandkids or whatever? So know that you're not stupid, and we'll be here to help you get to the next step.
I want to thank you so much. We could have went on and on. There's so much information, but I thank you for sharing all of this great information and advice with us today, Melanie. We really appreciate it, and I know you've helped a lot of our viewers today with sharing all of this information.
Anytime, we're always around.
All right, thank you. Well, that does it for this week's Insights. If you have a question, comment, or story idea, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at news@wbkb11.com. I'm Sherry Stewart. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.